Israel and Hamas had agreed to a temporary truce, although the ceasefire would only last for 4 days. As the truce fell apart, Bursh moved on to a small, hard-pressed facility called Al-Alda, the only functional hospital left in northern Gaza. And these are the last images we have of Dr. Adnan Bursh. They were posted on the hospital's website 1 day before his arrest. The facility had been surrounded by the IDF, and the staff were under strain.
We are in a horrible situation. We have a siege around us. The Israeli army is around us, and our team is exhausted.
These the words of Dr. Mohammed Obaid, colleague of Dr. Bursh. The two men were frightened. They knew, as doctors, they'd be accused of supporting or working for Hamas.
وكان الخوف شديدا ليس فقط من الشهادة، فالشهادة أنت شهيد عند الله تعالى، ولكن كان الخوف من التنكيل أو التعذيب أو الاقتياد إلى سجون ولا تعرف ما هي مصيره.
Eventually, the hospital director told them they had to leave.
فقال لنا أن قوات الاحتلال لديها كشف كامل بجميع أسماء الذكور ما بين 14 سنة و 65 سنة في مستشفى العودة، ولقد قالوا له حرفيا إذا لم يأتي جميع الرجال الموجودين في الداخل فسيقوموا بتدبير مستشفى العودة وما فيه. أخبروها أنهم سيقوموا بقتل الجميع.
They threatened to destroy the hospital with the women and children inside, he said eventually. We put this allegation to the Israel Defense Forces, but it didn't respond. These drone images were taken near Al-Alda Hospital in December, and they match the location and description of events provided by Dr. Obaid. After their interrogation, Obaid says 5 medical workers, including Bursh, were taken away.
وكانت لحظات صعبة جدا عندما نظر إلي الدكتور عدنان. أحسست أنه يشعر أو الذي هو إحساس أنه في مأزق شديد، وأخذه ضابط الاحتلال وكانت المعاملة خشنة جدا.
Dr. Bursh was sent to an army base in Israel called Stade Teman, a now notorious center used for processing detainees from Gaza. They're bound and blindfolded for long periods, and allegations of physical, mental and sexual abuse are rife. It's thought many of the inmates are medical professionals.
In the camp where I was, there were about 100 prisoners. I think at least a quarter of them were involved in healthcare quarter. Yes, at least. Some of them are doctors and nurses and technicians.
We found Dr. Khalid Hamouda in Cairo, a refuge, he said, after spending 3 weeks at Stade Teman. He told us the guards used him as their helper and remembers being told to fetch Dr. Bursh at the gate.
And at this moment, he told me that they beat him badly. He feels pain in different parts of his body, in his chest bone and his back and his legs. He told me that they keep beating him till he arrived where I met him.
At the detention center?
Yes, in the detention center. He told me that he thought he may have broken ribs.
How did he look the next morning? How did he appear?
He was so badly treated, so he was unable even to go to the toilet alone. So I thought he was beaten very badly.
Bursh left Stade Teman on the 20th of December and entered the Israeli prison system. In April, he was taken to a facility near Jerusalem called Ofer, where he died shortly after his arrival. News of the surgeon's death was announced quietly in May, the Israelis offering no explanation, no cause of death, nor have they returned the body to members of the family. Here's what we do know. The regime at Ofer is harsh, a point emphasized by the prison service when this Israeli television crew were taken for a tour. They're all murderers, all terrorists, said the deputy commander, although many of these prisoners haven't been charged. Sky News can reveal new information about al-Bursh's death. Human rights lawyer Nadia Dhaka has obtained a deposition from a prisoner who says he witnessed the moments leading up to the doctor's death.
He had clearly been assaulted with injuries around his body. He was naked in the lower part of his body. The prison guard threw him in the middle of the yard and left him there.
The deposition says al-Bursh was taken by an inmate to one of the cells.
A few minutes later, prisoners were heard screaming from the room they went into, declaring Dr. Adnan al-Bursh have been martyred. Adnan al-Bursh was not the first case of a person who was beaten and died in the prisons since this war. Before him were many and many cases.
The Israel Defense Forces told Sky News that the death of Dr. al-Bursh was not its responsibility. The Israel Prison Service has also denied responsibility for the death of the doctor. In a statement, it said, all basic rights required are fully applied by professionally trained prison guards. We are not aware of the claims you described, and as far as we know, no such events have occurred under IPS responsibility. Some people might say, some people will say, that Dr. Adnan al-Bursh was a terrorist.
If I want to answer formally to this question, he was not charged till now, and many of these detainees are not charged from Gaza.
Dr. al-Bursh leaves his wife, Yasmin, along with 6 children. They've been displaced by the war and currently live in the remnants of a school in central Gaza. The doctor's pictures now adorn the wall, and they've got his old phone messages, but that won't bring him back.
أنا نفسي بأقرب وقت يجيني وأدفنه وأكرم مثواه، بس برضو خاف من هاي اللحظة إني أشوفه بعد ما كنت أشوفه عايش وإله هيبه وإنه كان كبير وقد حاله، بالأخير أشوفه مستشهد قدامي.
Dr. Mohammed Obeid was detained by the Israeli military 3 weeks ago, along with several other medical staff. Doctors Without Borders says it is extremely alarmed and is trying to determine his status and location. This story is one of a countless number that have been buried under the immovable weight of Gaza's recent past. Yet al-Bursh was a much-loved figure in Gaza. His death and the manner in which he died deemed by many as unforgivable. John Sparks, Sky News in Jerusalem.